What's up everyone? Shane here with ROA Off-Road. Behind me, we have the all new MDC XT19. This is the Off-Grid Extreme Edition. I'm gonna walk you around this trailer, but I'm going to do this a little bit different from other tours. We do have currently a 2-hour-long tour where I walk through this trailer and give you tons of detail. You wanna see that? Go down in the link below and you can watch that video and learn all about this trailer. But today I wanna talk about MDC and ROA Off-Road and our collaboration that we have with each other. We have a really good relationship with the manufacturers that we work with, so much so that we are able to change the products into the future. And it's not us changing them. Obviously, it's MDC that does the changing. They are constantly looking for ways to innovate and make their products better. But all of that actually comes from you. The comments that you make actually get into the production units of these trailers in the future. And that's something that's really cool about ROA is we do listen to the customers, the market, and we give that feedback to MDC. So much so to the point where they'll actually change the product. So I can make a promise to you that if you make comments below and we'll go through those comments, we'll read them and we'll give that feedback to MDC to eventually change the products. ROA Off-Road, we are pushing the industry to innovate and make the best products in the world. That's one of our missions, to be carrying the best off-road and off-grid products in the entire world. And some of these products don't even exist yet. We're pushing for these products to come into existence. And you can be a part of that. You can be a part of creating your dream trailer by making the comments below about what you love, what you hate, what you want to see different. I want to give you an example of something that MDC did because of you right now. Now, when I tell you what you say and the comments you make matters, this is proof right behind me. This is the all new MDC 19. And if you look at some of the previous year models of MDC, they had much different decals, a little bit colorful. Actually, we had a lot of people that loved them. They said they look sporty, kind of like motocross. A lot of people liked them, but the majority of the feedback we were getting from the comments and people talking to us was they didn't like them. So we reached out to MDC. We told MDC, hey, a lot of people don't like the styling of the decals. And so we asked, could we change them? Could we have an adjustment on them? And as you can see in all the new Off-Grid Extreme versions, they now have this black and silver with the white. I think it's beautiful. To me, it's way more modern. I'm a huge fan of it. I don't know if you like that. If you do, make a comment below. If you'd prefer different styling, let us know. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Is there something you would change? Also white, right? The entire body is white. Do you like white? Would you prefer a different color? Are you more into grays, silvers, blacks? All of the trim has been changed in the updated models. And this really did come about because of the feedback and the comments that people were making in our videos. We listened and then we gave that feedback to MDC and they changed it for you. So is there anything else you would change? I personally would not change the white because I believe white is really ideal for a camper and RV. It's good for the sun, right? The sun, as it comes down, it's more of a reflector opposed to absorbing. If you go to like a black color, that will absorb heat. We've had a lot of issues over the years with trailers that were black. They get too hot. The unit has a hard time cooling down on the inside with the air conditioning unit because you're just a heat magnet. So I'm a huge fan of the white. Would you change it? Would you like to see something different? Now let's walk to the back of here. I want to walk around this trailer, point out some things that I love about it, maybe some things that I would change or wouldn't change, and please make your comments below. The old models actually had 2 wheels on the back. As you can see, now there's only 1 wheel and there's a ladder going to the roof. My question is, do you like that? Is that good? Is that bad? Would you prefer 2 wheels? Why? I'm curious of if you wanted 2 wheels, why do you want 2 wheels? Where are you going that you might need 2 wheels? Are you traveling to Alaska or the Arctic or down south to Argentina? Why do you want 2 tires? Or would you prefer a ladder? Of course, the ladder can get you access to the roof. You can clean solar panels. That easy access is really nice, but some people just prefer to have a collapsible ladder that they put in the storage compartment. I'm curious, what would you prefer to have on your dream trailer. If this were your dream trailer, what would you choose? So make a comment below. Okay, here we are underneath the trailer. As you can see, this suspension is pretty incredible. This is an independent suspension. Most travel trailers are going to use a solid axle with leaf springs, which is just going to destroy your trailer. You got to understand, this is like the foundation. If you build your house upon the sand, it's going to get washed away. You don't want to do that. You want to build your house on a rock. I'm not referring to anything from that really famous guy from 2,000 years ago. But you know what I'm saying, right? Foundation is the most important thing you start with in anything. And so this is your foundation. Your entire house is built on this suspension. So an independent suspension is going to be way more superior than solid axles or leaf springs, because this is going to allow for the impact of the off-road, the washboards, even on highway. All the suspension is going to move up and down, and it's going to allow the trailer not to get rattled apart and just destroyed on the inside. Now, my question for you is, would you prefer an air suspension or would you prefer these gas shocks with coils? Now, obviously with air suspension, you're going to have more things like an air compressor, you're going to have an air tank, you're going to have air bags. There are potential failures. Now, there's potential failures with these too. The gas shocks can leak if you're hitting too hard of washboards. Now, these gas shocks are about 40% thicker than most gas shocks that we've seen on trailers before. Also, this X-Trax, this is a patent designed by MDC. This is like one of the most robust independent suspensions we've ever dealt with. I think this suspension will hold up better than a Cruisemaster suspension. They have delivered over 40,000 trailers in Australia in the outback. They have millions of miles of testing on this suspension system. This to me is one of the best, most robust suspensions out on the market. There are other suspension systems out there that are also really good, but I'm curious, what do you think? Would you prefer an air suspension or would you prefer this setup? There's not a lot of things to fail on this suspension, and that to me is one of the benefits of it. But give us your feedback, let us know what you think, and I'm gonna go in this direction. See you later. Okay, there we have it. Let's now move in over to something that I am so grateful that MDC did. When MDC started working with us, one of the very first things that I brought up is the winter capability or the 4 seasons capability of the trailers. And none of the trailers they were bringing into the market really were a 4 seasons trailer. And I said, this is something that a lot of Americans want. Now, I don't know if all Americans want this, and I would love to hear your feedback, because there are people out there where the whole reason why they buy a trailer is so they can get out of the cold. Some people call them snowbirds. There's actually millions of them. I used to sell pretty much exclusively to people that were snowbirds. Some people call them penguins, but you know, whatever. These are people that don't want to be in the snow, so they buy a trailer or a camper or an RV and they drive it south for the winter, down to Arizona, to Baja, Mexico, to Florida, wherever they want to roam, they go to get out of the snow. So buying a trailer that's 4 seasons capable is totally a waste of money, and it's just not important to them. Now, there are a lot of people that do want to be able to get into cold weather and camp in cold weather. Have you ever done it? It is actually a pretty cool thing to do sometimes. But honestly, I'm more of a, I want to chase the warm weather personally. But we did give this feedback to MDC and they started implementing changes. One of the very first things that they did is the fixtures used to all be on the exterior or the water hookups. And we said, hey, in the US, you gotta protect that. You gotta put it recessed inside. They also started running heat ducts through here. The MDC trailers, the new Off-Grid Extremes, they're not a full 4 seasons trailer, but they've done a lot of improvements to them to prevent a lot of the systems from freezing. Now here at ROA Off-Road, we do have a modification where there are some lines that will freeze, and we have a modification where we can actually protect those lines, make it so you can get below 32 degrees. But currently 32 degrees is the limit. But prior, if you would have got to freezing, everything would have gotten destroyed in the old models, not these new models, because the water lines were exposed underneath the trailer. All this water system was exposed on the exterior of the trailer. So they've moved everything inside, they put heat duct, they've actually moved most, not like I said, not all of them, but most of the water lines are above the floor. They have heated tanks, they've done so many improvements. And this is because of the feedback that we've had from you. Now, I would love to hear where you actually want to camp, what you want to use the trailer for. Like, is spending an extra 5 or 10 grand on a trailer to make it a true 4 seasons trailer, is that worth it to you? Or would you rather save 5 or 10 grand and camp where it's warm? I want to hear that, because you got to understand, the more and more we do, the more and more that's going to add to the cost. And a lot of people feel like our trailers are already expensive. Now you pay for what you get. I mean, we've had used Airstreams that we sold for 80 to 90 grand, and they were like 5 years old and not as good quality as these trailers. These trailers are way better quality, and they have lithium. They can run the air conditioner off-grid. Lots of cool features on these trailers for the same price or less than an Airstream. So really the value's there, but some people want to save their money and maybe put it towards other things. So love to hear your feedback on that. But the 4 seasons is getting there, and these are getting better and enhanced and improved every single day, every single year. Give us more feedback, because if that's something you truly, truly want to see, let us know, and we'll give that feedback to MDC. Now, another thing I want to talk about, and this is a very controversial topic, it's about your number 2. Where do you want to go, and how do you like to do it? So let's get into that. Okay, here we are on one of my favorite features that comes in campers, the toilet. This is a great spot to seek refuge from time to time, to relieve yourself from things that you do not need anymore. This is a good spot. Now, my question for you, what type of toilet do you prefer? I am sitting on a cassette toilet. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a cartridge, essentially. It has the ability to pull out, and you can then take it somewhere and dump it. It's pretty light, 5 gallons of doo-doo in the cassette. Now, some people say, well, that will fill up so fast. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it might last a few days, depending on how many people are in it. My wife and I, we have a daughter, and the cassette will last us 2 to 3 days. So I am pulling it out and going and find a spot to dump it. But now the nice thing is, if you had a black tank, you have to drag the whole trailer somewhere to dump it, right? So you can stay stationary for as long as you want with the cassette, because you can just pull that out and go dump it. So this is definitely a topic that I want to hear feedback from. What kind of toilet do you prefer? There are a lot of different toilet options. Nowadays, people are doing dry flushes. There's a toilet called Lavio. There's separate toilets. There's composting toilets. At first, I thought composting toilets sounded disgusting, but I ended up going on a trip that was a couple weeks long, and it was a composting toilet, and actually it was really cool. I understood after that trip why a lot of people rave about composting toilets. Incinerator toilets. Now, we have played with a lot of different incinerating toilets. Incinerating toilets is a newer technology, so beware of that. We used a company called EcoJohn out of Texas. Horrible company. Would not ever use them again. We had so many issues with those toilets. We even talked with the owner about it, and he's like, well, they can get damaged in shipping. And it's like, I told you I was putting these in trailers. Like, they're getting shipped every time they move somewhere. Anyways, so then we moved over to Cinderella. Cinderella is a much more reputable company. We've had better luck with Cinderellas. A lot of people that own them love them. Some people don't, So it just depends on what you want. Would love to hear your feedback on which toilet you want, or what you would prefer. Would you prefer a black tank? Would you prefer a cassette? Also, showers, bathroom. Do you want a wet bath? Now, a wet bath is when you put the toilet and the shower and the sink and everything together. It's a one big giant bathroom, and you can spray it down. It's kind of nice to keep things clean. A dry bath is going to be where you have a separate shower from the toilet. So somebody can be doing their duties on the toilet while the other person is showering, or while somebody is in here. Maybe you shouldn't brush your teeth while somebody's sitting on the toilet. That's kind of weird and kind of gross. But you get what I'm saying. Like, you can do multiple things. 2 people can be in the bathroom at the same time because the shower and the toilet are separate. So some people really prefer that. What would you prefer? Would you prefer a wet bath or a dry bath? Love to hear your feedback on that. So I do want to show off this shower, because this is one of the reasons why you might want a dry bath from a wet bath. This area is massive. Another cool thing is, this can stay wet when you get out of it, right? You dry yourself, get out, and it's dry. With a wet bath, everything's wet. So you're gonna have to dry the whole floor. So if somebody wants to come in right after to brush their teeth, go to the bathroom, the whole floor is gonna be wet unless you dry it. And generally, when you step out of a shower, you don't dry the floor. The shower will just dry in an hour or 2, right? So that to me is a huge benefit of having a dry bath. Now, we always talk about making comments and how we listen to your comments. One of the comments that we had a bunch from one of our videos, or a few of our videos, was you should always measure the bathroom to see how tall it is. Now, I generally say I'm 6 feet tall, and a whopping 240 pounds. If you watch all of my videos, you'll know that I've lost some weight because I'm used to be heavier. But the measurements of this is 6 foot 5 inches. So there you have it. If you want to know what it is this way, while we're sitting in here, might as well measure it from wall to wall. It's almost 4 feet. It's 3 feet 10 inches. That's crazy. And this way, we are 2 feet and 3 inches. This bathroom is massive. Look at this. Watch. Woo. I can stretch my legs out completely. That is pretty incredible. This is a massive shower. Lots of cool space. Now, check out this fan above me. Is there a fan that you prefer? This is a pretty basic fan. It works. It opens up manually, and then you have an in and out. So this can be an exhaust. It can pull the air out while you're showering. If you want to suck in air from the exterior, cold air, maybe if it's hot, you can bring in the cooler air outside. And there's also a very cool little light on this thing. But if there's a certain type of fan that you've used in your campers or your RV, if you ever owned one, love to hear what your experience was with that fan, which fan it was, because those are things that we can easily improve. We can actually do at ROA Off-Road, even aftermarket. We don't have to wait for the manufacturer to do that. But there you go. This is an incredible bathroom. There is massive amounts of storage throughout. I don't know if that's important to you. Let's head on to the main area now. So here we are in the booth area. I'm gonna measure this for you as well, so you can see. This comes all the way here, and that is 6 foot 2 inches, and that's with this cushion. So you can remove the cushion and get a little bit more space. But if you have a 6 foot child, that's a large child, they can sleep here. If you have a guest, an adult, they can also sleep here. Now this table, it can move around. It also drops down. Then you take these cushions, and that is what makes it into a bed. Now my question for you is, what do you think of this bed area? Is there a different setup that you would like to see? Would you like a dinette booth, or would you like a bunk bed above it? Now obviously this trailer, in my mind, is a perfect couples trailer, and so you may not want that. This is a lot of space. Here I am in the corner enjoying myself. You could sit into this area and obviously have a few more guests in here. I love this setup. I feel like it gives you a lot of space. Even me at 240 pounds, I'm not hitting the table. I could even bring it in a little bit. Would give me more space to walk around. So would love to hear your feedback. Also this tabletop, this is a wood grain. I think it looks really sweet. It's modern. Would you prefer to see a different color? Maybe black, maybe white, maybe marble, stone. I don't think you should put real stone in here because that's gonna be heavy. And some people really want solid surface quarry and real stone, but real stone can actually crack. So when you're in a moving vehicle, this is like a house on wheels. So it's like going through an earthquake. I've seen granite put into trailers in the past, and over time they'll sometimes crack or have a split in them. So definitely you want some sort of composite material, in my opinion, or some sort of acrylic, synthetic materials that are more durable than stone. But you can change the design. I'm curious what you would think if this wood grain design is cool or not. Also the cabinetry. What is the most important thing to you when it comes to cabinetry? Do you want more cabinetry in the kitchen, in the bathroom, in the bedroom? What's more important? Clothing, dishes, food? I'm really curious about where, if you were to build your dream trailer, where would you prioritize your storage? Would you want more drawers or hanging spaces? There's definitely a lot of storage in this trailer throughout, and I think abundant amounts of storage. The cabinetry too, I'd love to hear the feedback on the color, this gray. The old MDCs last year were actually white, and this has a glossy color. I think it looks very premium, but some people have mentioned that they would prefer a matte. I don't know what you would prefer. Also, this is a very modern styling. Some people prefer more of a traditional or more of a cabin look. I am not a huge fan of cabin look, but love to hear your feedback. You see all these nice lighting, LEDs. Would you prefer incandescent light bulbs or LEDs? Please make a comment below so we can laugh at you or make fun of you. I don't think anybody wants incandescent light bulbs anymore, but just want to show off some of this storage space. If you have not seen this trailer's full tour, like I mentioned, I do a 2-hour long tour where I go into tons and tons of detail. This video is just a little bit different. We're trying to catch it from a different vantage point, a different angle. We're also trying to get feedback from you, the potential owner, buyers. but this is so beautiful. MDC does such a good job. You can see how everything's just finished, reinforced. They've added structure. Also, the wiring harness over here, you can see they cover it with an MDC logo. That's aluminum bent and engraved. Really cool little details that they do. Also, everything is a soft close, so it doesn't slam. And then these are locking latches. So you push in the latch and it locks, so it can't open. You push it, you turn the knob and lift. So this is what you need in an off-road trailer. If you don't have those locking latches, those cabinets can open up and stuff can fly out. Not even off-road. I was out on a race with some friends. We were doing a relay race, bike race from Salt Lake City to St. George, Utah. And I took a sharp turn on the road and one of the cupboards came out. A jar of pickles flew out, shattered everywhere. It was horrible. You're looking for glass the whole time, hoping you don't step on a piece of glass. We cleaned it up, you know, but the whole thing smelled like pickle juice the rest of the trip. So that is definitely a feature you want to have. Now, another question that I have for you is kitchen. This is a beautiful stovetop. You have a 3-burner Furrion. You have the oven. Do you need an oven? Some people absolutely say they have to have an oven. Other people say you don't even need an oven. Get rid of it, delete it. Now, if you were to delete an oven, what would you want in its place? Do you want a microwave? The cool thing about MDC is they give you both an oven and a microwave. Some trailer manufacturers don't give you those options anymore. It's one or the other. Some are doing microwaves with a convection oven, which I think is pretty cool. That is also power, electricity, so you can run it off a battery. Ovens generally have to be propane. I don't think there's any electric ovens in the RV industry that I know of. Now, that does bring me to the stovetop though. There are induction electric stovetops. I know a lot of people ask for those things. I'm actually a fan of propane. I prefer propane. It's really efficient. It's easy to find. Of course, if you have a good solar array, good battery system, maybe induction is the way to go. Love to hear your feedback. Lots of controversy over that one. I feel like so many people have an opinion on that. I personally like propane, but listen, it's not always about what I want. Sometimes it's about what you want. If you make enough comments, we'll give that feedback to the manufacturer and maybe you'll see an induction cooktop in the future. Now we have more storage up here. We have our water gauges. We have our Truma appliances. Now MDC has opted to choose all Truma appliances and componentry. So we have a Truma air conditioner. We are completely off-grid right now and this air conditioner is running and it's nice and cold. It's freezing. Like we're in here nice and cool. It's like, I think it was 87 degrees today when I was looking on my truck. So we pulled up here, not plugged into anything, running the air conditioner for at least 1 to 2 hours right now. So, and you want to see my battery life? Come check this out. Here we are, we're at 90%. And you can see we're cranking out 80 amps out of that air conditioner right now, which is a lot of amps. That thing takes a lot of power, but believe it or not, it's pretty efficient. Some people have said, get rid of the 120 volt and go to 12 volt air conditioners. I would advise against that. I would love to hear people's reasonings behind that, but we've actually had a lot of experience. We had a manufacturer, they were putting 12 volt AC units. They couldn't cool down the units. They were failing people, especially in warmer climates. They couldn't keep up with the temperature. Those things are super small BTUs, and some of them would crank 60 to 70 amps, which is crazy. This is pulling 80 amps. And the difference is this is putting out 13,500 BTUs of cold air. And those units are like 6,800 BTUs and they pull out almost the same amount of amps. So I really think like they're not actually that efficient and they definitely don't cool down the unit. And the cool thing is this can actually get the unit up to temp and then it can shut off because it has so much power, it can cool down the unit a lot faster. Anyways, that's my take, that's my opinion on it. We'll love to hear your opinion. Also, we're doing Anderson connection plugs, which are at the front of the truck, which if you plug those in, you can actually make your truck into a generator and that can bring in 50 amps. So you could actually be running this and only losing 20 to 30 amps an hour, which is really cool. With the solar, when the solar comes out and it starts getting nice and warm, then you're gonna even get more power. Now we have our refrigerator and freezer. Down here we have the freezer. I have my water in here because I drink a lot of water every day, and my protein shakes because I have a lot of protein every day. This is a 12 volt freezer, and you also have a 12 volt refrigerator. This is an extra lock put on by MDC because this latches as well. But when you open this guy up, this is a very large fridge. It's a lot deeper than most fridges. Now, my question is, would you prefer a propane refrigerator? Or would you prefer a 12-volt refrigerator? Or would you prefer a 120 and always run it off of power and battery? I don't know. I think that would be very inefficient, but I would love to hear your input on that. Since we've been talking about the power systems, let's head over to the battery systems and talk a little bit about that. Okay, so I just removed all the cushions and put the table down. This is into the bed mode, minus the cushions. As you can see, it's nice and finished underneath the cushions. And when you open this up, you can see the battery and the electrical systems right here, and also right over here. This is a very cool system, very cool setup. Right here we have the Renogy Rego system. This is an 800 amp hour battery bank. So you have two 400 amp hour batteries that are mounted here, as well as all of your systems over here. You have your solar charge controllers, you have your DC to DC, and also another MPPT solar charge controller. So this is a dual system. So this works part of the solar array as well as your truck charging. And then this is just purely solar system. Now, something that I would love to know is Renogy. What are your thoughts on Renogy? Do you own a trailer? Have you ever owned a trailer? What type of system would you like to see? This is a new system by Renogy, and Renogy has been around a long time. Now, MDC, as far as the install goes, I think this is one of the most beautiful installs I've ever seen. Like, everything is just so perfectly put together and tidy. And look at this. Like, they have, everything's labeled, stability control, gas alarm. I mean, you have the fuses here, these little boxes. You have all your bus bars. Everything is just so well done. You have this massive Anderson plug that's connecting all the batteries together. Everything is ventilated. You have a lot of ventilation in this, which is really important. We've had manufacturers over the year where they don't do proper ventilation, and then you have a lot of these systems overheating. You can see there's a lot of space in this area where the charge controllers are at, because these things do get hot and they need to have a nice open area and also ventilation. So they do a really good job. I'm very, very impressed with MDC and how they put everything together. Would love to know if you've ever seen a more tidy area. I have seen $500,000, $1 million coaches, RVs. I don't want to name certain manufacturers, but like manufacturers that supposedly make really nice stuff that don't do as well of a job as MDC does. So super impressed with what they do. Love to hear your feedback if you've ever seen a wiring job done this nice. But let's move from the wiring stuff to the sleeping area. Whoa, yeah, it's bedtime. You guys ready? I'm ready. I'm ready to take a nap. Been a long day. I was in Colorado yesterday, visiting our new GM at one of our stores. If you want to see any of these trailers, you can go to all of our experience centers: South Carolina, Utah, Arizona. You can also call the number 801-860-0035 or go to our website below. Now, I love having comfortable beds. This is like the reason why I personally own an RV. I actually personally own an RV, and I have a bed and I have a nice mattress on it. It's like the most amazing mattress. And when I sleep in it, I wake up refreshed, ready to kick butt, go out, hike, whatever. You fish, you hunt, whatever you're gonna do. Like, why do you buy a trailer other than having a nice place to sleep? Because you don't have to have a trailer to go out into the nature. You can go in a tent. So here it is. What's your preference of bed? I want to actually hear this because I'm super curious. Like, are you a memory foam? Are you a Sleep Number? Do you like Tempur-Pedics? What is your brand, your preferred brand? I've always thought that it would be cool if a manufacturer didn't actually put in a bed and they just left it as an option. And it was like an add-on, like whatever mattress, maybe you get a credit, whatever it is, you know, like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. Some mattresses get pretty expensive. You might need to do a $5,000 credit. But if you could choose the mattress, what mattress would you put in it? Would you rather have the manufacturer actually just let you option the mattress? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you know, if we have like 1 million people make comments about this, share it with your friends and everybody you know, and tell them, hey, say you want an option mattress. We get enough comments, maybe we will do that. That would be kind of a cool thing. Maybe you don't even really care about that. Maybe you'll just find your own mattress. Now, queen size bed, full size bed, king size bed, 2 singles on the sides. What type of sleeping configuration would you prefer? We do have other trailers that have different sleeping configurations. Also, would you prefer a north and south? This is a north and south bed, which means I can crawl out of bed over here and get out at night and not crawl over my wife. If it was an east-west, we'd be both sleeping this way and one person would have to crawl out. Now, the nice thing about an east-west is it gives you tons of space. It really like takes the bed to right here, and you can have a lounge, you can have a bigger, or you can have a shorter trailer, right? So there's a lot of benefits in doing an east-west, but it's just a matter of what you prefer, what's your preference. We'd love to hear what you would prefer in your bed setup, so you can have a great night of sleep. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm getting tired, ready to go to sleep. So I'm gonna shut off the lights, get ready to go to bed. And part of this, maybe I don't know how to turn off the lights. There we go. I'm like, look, there's little blinds on the window too, in case you wanted to know. Can you cover this? Yes, you can. There's little curtains here. So you can have privacy, so you can sleep well at night. See, I'm a huge fan of, like I said, the bed. I also like it nice and cool. These fans here are really nice because they have a lot of movement and they can be adjusted all over the place. So it's going to be blowing right on me at night, keeping me nice and cool. And to me, part of sleeping good is also sleeping in dark. So these things actually get nice and dark. So if you can't see me in a second, farewell. Okay, now here we are. And there you have it. Have a wonderful night. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned. We're gonna have a lot of cool tours coming up pretty soon. I'm going to bed. So until next time, keep on roaming. Have a nice night.